After several months of waiting, Eberron Forge of the Artificer is finally out, which means that we actually have an update to the much forgotten and beleaguered 13th official subclass from Wizards of the Coast. It still is not in Creative Commons, which means we still cannot get third-party subclasses for it, which I do think is a big shame. And in today's video, I'm going to go over whether or not it's better. I think the answer is generally yes. Spoilers, but it's complicated in places. I'm going to go over this and compare it to the previous version, same with all the subclasses, so strap in. But if you're ready, and I hope you are, as I hope I'm also ready, let's hop in, shall we? I will be going over the rest of the book in a different video or a couple of different videos, but I do just want to call out the fact that I love the design styling of this book. The way it looks and the titles and stuff are really nice, the layout's really good, and as ever, the artwork is stunning. Eberron speaks to me on a deep level. You get spellcasting, you get Artificer tool, you can produce your artificial spells through tools, you can use Thieves tools, Tinker tools, or another kind of Artisan's tools as your focus. It's just sort of anything. It's all good. So that's nice. You get 2 cantrips. They recommend Acid Splash and Prestidigitation, which is a choice. We should look at the spell list, right? Spell list is down here. Here we go. Excuse me. Acid Splash, Dancing Lights, Elementalism, Firebolt, Guidance, Light, Mage Hand, Message, Poison Spray, Prestidigitation, Ray of Frost, Resistance, Shocking Grasp, Spare the Dying, Thorn Whip, Thunderclap, and True Strike. I think it's worth noting that the Artificer is obviously our half-caster for intelligence-based characters, and it means that they're less reliant on cantrips than a full wizard would be, unless you're a bladesinger, in which case who cares about rules anyway. It means you can probably afford to take more focused like roleplay or general support ones, so Prestidigitation and Guidance, for example, or Mage Hand or something like that. But it is up to you. There's never any harm in having a cantrip that can do damage, just in case. You can also, and this is good, you can replace a cantrip whenever you finish a long rest, so you're not locked in, which is good, and at level 10 or 14 you get a new one, which is also good. You get spell slots, half-caster standard progression there, and you get some level 1 spells. They recommend Cure Wounds and Grease. Cure Wounds, sure. Grease, I don't know that I would recommend it as the first thing, but hey. And then you can also change your list of prepared spells whenever you finish a long rest, which is also very, very good. And intelligence. We get Tinker's Magic at level 1, which is a replacement for, what's it called? Magical Tinkering used to let you infuse things with light, a recorded message, a weird sound, or some text, basically. Now, Tinker's Magic gives you the Mending cantrip, so you have a 3rd cantrip. Mending is obviously a very good fit for Artificer, so that makes sense. And also, while holding Tinker's tools, you can create a lot of different common items that just last. This isn't an issue. You just get them. So that's cool. Especially vials are going to be really useful if you're going for the Alchemist, for example. Or you could put a lamp on your Steel Defender. Or something. Iron spikes on your mech suit. I'm a little tired. You can do this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all uses on a long rest. This is a solid upgrade. It takes away some of the more interesting proponents. It kind of sands off the edges, which I have mixed feelings about, but I do think this is a net upgrade for the class. You also get Replicate Magic item, which takes the place of the old Infuse item. You used to be able to make items as part of your Infuse item. They just kind of flipped it, so rather than the focus being these infused items, the focus are now making magic items, but you've not lost the infusions because they've moved them into magic items now, which is useful, I suppose. It means that DMs could give out some of the infused items as magic items, so you could just give someone a Javelin of Returning, for example, even if there is not an Artificer present, which is good to know. Although you could have done that anyway, because the way that this works is, when you gain this feature, you learn 4 plans from the magic item plans, Artificer level 2, They recommend Bag of Holding, Cap of Breathing, Sending Stones, and Wand of the War Mage. I think 2 of those are good, and I think 2 of those are very strange choices. It's Cap of Water Breathing and Sending Stones. They're weird choices. Sending Stones are great, but I don't know that I would put them on the same tier. But that's a whole thing. When you gain an Artificer level, you can replace one of the plans with a new plan for which you qualify, because you get new tables as you level up, and you can learn a new plan of your choice when you reach specific levels. You can only have a number of items created equal to 2, so the number of plans, less 2 is the easiest way to do that. So you can make 2 items at level 2, which is still solid. There's no doubt that having some of these items at level 2 is good. Also, you can make 1 or 2 magic items when you finish a long rest, which is great. If it requires attunement, you can immediately attune to it rather than going through all the hassle. Otherwise, if it's someone else, they have to go through the hassle. You can also create more items as you level up per long rest. So if we look at this, I think this is basically you can create items equal to the number of items you can create in total. So theoretically you could do 3 in a long rest. At least that's how I'm understanding that. As you can see, it ends on 8 and 6, and obviously that's pretty good. Hopefully your DM is also giving you some magic items. Don't be a DM that doesn't give out magic items. You don't need to play it like I do and give out way too many. You can be normal. But there's definitely a middle ground. These items last as they normally would, but if you die, the magic items lose their magic after 1d4 days. And if you replace an item with... If you replace a plan you know with a new plan, any item created with that plan gets lost. And if you make a new item, the oldest magic item gets lost if you've hit your maximum, okay? And you can also use any wand or weapon you create with this as a spell casting focus, which is pretty cool. It also then talks about crafting in general. It's a good reminder, I guess. There's nothing in the class now that actually makes you better at crafting specifically, which is an interesting change of pace. It's odd. Item-wise, at level 2, you get Alchemy Jug, Bag of Holding, Cap of Water Breathing, any common magic item that isn't a Potion, Scroll, or Cursed, Goggles of Night. I'm going to skip these just for 1 second. Rope of Climbing, Sending Stones, a Shield +1, which is a banger. Wand of Magic Detection, Wand of Secrets, Wand of the War Mage, which is always nice, because you gain extra bonus to your attack rolls, basically, which is cool. Weapon +1, which is also pretty cool, and Wraps of Unarmed Prowess +1, which is also pretty cool. I do think most of the time you're not going to be getting a +1 items at level 2. Being able to create them is really strong, even though I think most of the time I'd always be drawn towards Alchemy Jug or Bag of Holding. So I mentioned the infusions from last time. These are now just kind of folded into the things you can create. So you can make a repeating shot weapon, you can make a returning weapon. It's nice and easy, right? Which is good. I like this change overall, I think. Good work. At level 6, the items go up. There's a lot, right? I'm not going through all these, but you get +1 armor, Helm of Awareness. So these are some of the other ones as well. As you can see, Repulsion Shield. These are all the kind of things you were getting anyway. Level 10, you get even more, including upgrades to the level 2 ones. And then level 14, you get even more stuff. So level 6 is really stacked compared to the other ones. But yeah, all in all, cool stuff. That's it. At level 3, you get your subclass. We will go over the subclasses shortly. Level 4, you get ASI, obviously. And level 6, you get Magic Item Tinker. This has changed. Level 6 used to be Tool Expertise, which is nice, but very unexciting. This is obviously more interesting, and it was also better, I think, overall. Magic Item Tinker lets you use 3 different features. So as a bonus action, you can touch a magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you have created using your replicate magic item, and that uses charges. You can expend a spell slot to give that many charges back to the item. So if you've made a Wand of Magic Missiles, for example, you could spend a level 1 spell slot to give it another charge, which isn't bad because it gives you access to a bunch of extra spells, theoretically. I like that. Drain Magic Item. As a bonus action, you can choose a magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you have created, cause the item to vanish, and convert its magical energy into a spell slot. The slot is level 1 if the item is common, level 2 if it's uncommon or rare. It's really a shame that isn't like level 3 for rares, because that would feel naff. But whatever. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Any spell slot you create with this feature vanishes when you finish a long rest. So it's basically a bonus spell slot, which is pretty cool, to be fair. Transmute Magic Item. As a magic item, you can touch one magic item within 5 feet of yourself you have created with a blah 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 blah, same as before. The resulting item, you can change it into a different item that you know, basically. You can be like, this bag is a hat now, which is funny, I guess. I feel like there's some nonsense you could try to argue for with this. Turning a sword you've given, if you turned a hat you gave someone into a bag of holding, would it just slip down on them? Would they then be in the bag of holding? It's a funny concept, I think. Level 7, we get Flash of Genius. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you fails an ability, check, or saving throw, you can take a reaction to add a bonus to the roll, potentially causing it to succeed. The bonus is equal to your intelligence modifier with a minimum of 1. You can do this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, a minimum of 1. You regain all uses on a long rest. I do not believe this has changed. It has not. Cool. Magic Item Adept, level 10. You can attune to 4 magic items. This is worse than it was before. You could do that in the old class. You could also, when crafting an item with common or uncommon rarity, it took you a quarter of the time and cost you half as much gold. That is just gone. And I don't know why. I think it's a super weird choice to remove that. I don't get it. But hey, level 11 is Spell Storing Item. When you finish a long rest, you can touch one simple or martial weapon or one item you can use as a spell casting focus, and you store a spell in it, choosing a level 1, 2, or 3 Artificer spell that has a casting time of an action and doesn't require a material component that is consumed by the spell. You don't need to have the spell prepared. While holding the object, a creature can take a magic action to produce the spell's effect from it, using your spell casting ability modifier. If it requires concentration, that creature must concentrate. Once a creature has used the object to produce the spell's effect, it cannot be done again until the start of the creature's next turn. The spell stays in the object until it's been used a number of times equal to twice your intelligence modifier, or until you use this feature again to store a spell in an object. This is a fantastic feature. It's interesting. It invites creative thinking. It's good stuff. It's also exactly the same as it was. No, that's not true. You can now put level 3 spells in. So that's a buff. We'll take it. Level 14 is Advanced Artifice. You get the ability to attune to 5 magic items at once, and when you finish a short or long rest, you get 1 feature of your Flash of Genius back. That used to be you can attune to 5 magic items at once, and you ignore all class, species, spell, and level requirements on attuning to or using a magic item. This is a nerf. It's a really boring one. I'm going to beat up on Rangers again in a minute. I'm really sorry, but we'll get to the end of the class list first, okay? It'll make sense. Level 18 is Magic Item Master. You can have 6 items at once. That's exactly the same. Level 19 is an Epic Boon. That is obviously new. And then level 20, our Capstone, is Soul of Artifice. It means that if you have cheat death. So if you are reduced to 0 hit points and not killed outright, you can disintegrate any number of uncommon or rare magic items created by your Replicate Magic Item feature. If you do so, your hit points instead change to a number equal to 20 times the number of magic items disintegrated, which is cool. Along with that, when you finish a short rest, you regain all uses of your Flash of Genius if you have attunement to at least 1 magic item. Oh, how exciting. It used to be you could end one of your Artificer infusions, causing you to drop to 1 hit point instead of 0. So a worse version of the new one. I love a buff. We love to see it. Level 20 is ridiculous. But you also gained a +1 bonus to all of your saving throws per magic item you are currently attuned to, which should always be 6 at level 20. I think this is substantially worse, and having Flash of Genius is an incredibly cool ability. It makes for some really wonderful moments during the games. I've seen it with players using it. I'm a big fan of it. I don't love that we now have 2 things that feed into it instead of that just being part of the initial feature and then us getting better or more interesting things later on. It's dull. It sands off some of the edges. You no longer have to think about saving throws. Oh no. I don't think it was busted. I don't think it was busted to be able to attune to any magic item. I just don't. You're a half caster. You've got to put a lot of work in. Really. I don't think that the nerfs in the latter half of the class were necessary. I am a big fan of the buffs in the former half of the class. Yeah, it just makes me sad when you get this stuff, man. That's bordering on being a ribbon feature. And I know there's people going to be like, no, but you get to add +5 or +6 to +6 if you've read one of the books, which my players always have by this level, usually by a lower level because I'm a sucker. And that's not bad, but I don't think it's interesting. And I think interesting is better. Most of the time. I'm a vibes person, despite being a big min-maxy D&D build person. I'd love to know if you agree with me on this. I feel like, so the Ranger issue is the idea that a class, or a class in this case, should be tied into a specific feature. Paladins are now more tied to Find Steed than they used to be. Rangers are more tied to Hunter's Mark than they've ever been in 2024 rules. And now they're doing the same with Artificers, and I don't know why they're doing this to the half-casters. Generally speaking, you are better off going with a full caster and building for melee using your spells than you are going for a half-caster. Colby, in fact, just put up a video talking about the fact that his druid build is better at single target damage than his ranger build, which is heartbreaking. And I think it's going to be the same here. I think the flavour here is obviously fantastic, and when we get to the subclasses, which we'll do in a second, you'll see that they are buffed, and that's good. It doesn't change the fact that you're losing out on level 6 to 9 spells, which is going to hurt your overall damage, because Wizards of the Coast is massively favouring spellcasters at the moment. And in my next video, where I go over the feats, that's definitely the next video, I will talk about that some more. So that's something to look forward to. Yay! Anyway, spell list, there's lots of spells. It's a pretty solid spell list. I like it well enough. It's a good mix of everything you could want. Bigby's Hand is obviously a banger, but you're not getting it to level 17. So, you know. Let's go over the subclasses, shall we? Alchemist. It's really funny to me that all of the subclasses for this class, for some reason, are in the first 3 letters of the alphabet, and the Cartographer's new. So, there are other letters, guys. I'm just saying. Anyway, Alchemist. An Alchemist is an expert at combining reagents to... It's the potion one. I'm not reading the flavour of this. You get proficiency with Alchemist supplies and the Herbalism kits when you brew a potion using the Dungeon Master's Guide rules. The amount of time required to craft it is halved. I believe this is one of the few things which gives you a benefit to crafting items as an artificer, which is weird. I said Artificer. That's a fun concept. You get a spell list too. You get Healing Word, Ray of Sickness, Flaming Sphere, Melf's Acid Arrow, Gaseous Form, Mass Healing Word, Death Ward, Vitriolic Spear, Cloud Kill, and Raised Dead. These are all solid spells. A lot of those are already on the Artificer spell list, which is a shame. I think it's more or less the same. Healing Word, Ray of Sickness, blah, 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 blah. So Blight has been replaced with Vitriolic Spear. So that's good. And that's it, I think. Yeah, that's literally it. This subclass has been buffed, though, which is good. All of the subclasses have been buffed, and I think that's good. The Battlesmith in the least interesting way, but we'll get to that. The main feature here is your Experimental Elixir. When you finish a long rest while holding Alchemist supplies, you can use the tool to magically produce 2 elixirs. For each elixir, you roll on the experimental elixir table for the elixir's effect, which is triggered when someone drinks it. They can drink it as a bonus action. You can also administer it to someone else as a bonus action. As a magic action while holding the alchemist supplies, you can expend 1 spell slot to create another elixir. When you do so, you get to choose its effect rather than rolling. That's nice. This scales. I love when subclass features scale because they all should. All of the subclass features should scale. There's a big difference between level 3 and 20. Wizards, 1d4 for the Winter Ranger isn't enough if it's just going to stay like that. For example, if I had to pick a thing that I was talking about, it would be that. Anyway, we get healing, which lets you get hit points 2d8 plus your intelligence modifier. Swiftness increases your speed by 10 feet. Resilience increases your AC by 1 for 10 minutes. Boldness lets you, it blasts you, basically. But just for it blasts you. And the duration increases. You gain fly speed for 10 minutes of 10 feet. And if you roll 6, now you just get to pick the effect that you get. So I don't dislike that. I don't know that I love that it's random again, but I do like that you can just create them. These scale up. So at level 9, they get a buff of usually a dice or 15 feet to 20 or 20 feet and duration for some of them as well. I like how these scale. I like how you get more of them as you go. At the point where you're making 5 at level 15, your chances of rolling a 6 are really quite high. So the chances of you getting to choose one and also getting one of more or less each of them is pretty high. This used to be, you could create an elixir. Also, these did not scale. It was 2d4 instead of 2d8. These did not scale at all, which was awful. And level 6 was you could and alter self. This is a big buff. Is it a big enough buff? I don't really know. I think it's hard to quantify support effects like this, but it is good that it's a buff. Either way, at level 5, you get Alchemical Savant. When you cast a spell using your alchemist supplies as spellcasting focus, you gain a bonus to 1 roll. Of the roll must restore hit points or be a damage roll that deals acid, fire, or poison. The bonus equals your intelligence modifier. So you can... This includes your cantrips. This does not state when you have a spell slot either, which is great. So you can get a little boost to your cantrips. That's not bad. At level 5, you used to get Alchemical Savant, which was the same thing. They haven't changed that. They have made the wording better, so that's good. Level 9, you get Restorative Regents. You can cast Lesser Restoration. You can cast Lesser Restoration without expending a spell slot and without preparing the spell, provided you use Alchemist supplies as the spellcasting focus. You can do so a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all uses when you finish a long rest. Level 9 was... When a creature drinks the experimental elixir you created, the creature gains temp health equal to 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier, which is a choice, and you can cast Lesser Restoration. Have they made this worse? Okay, so they've actually just taken away the temp health for some reason. Why? You think 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier is temp health? Did they hear Treant Monk talking about temp health and they were like, well, we got to take it away from the classes that already had it then? Come on, man. Level 15, you get Chemical Mastery, which is improved, so that's good. It's different. When you cast an Artificer spell that deals acid, fire, or poison damage to a target, you can roll 2d8 force damage to add to it. You can do this once per turn. That's solid. Again, this still applies to cantrips. At level 15, you've got some of the best cantrips in the game now because you're adding your intelligence modifier to it and 2 extra dice. That's hard to argue with. Good stuff. Chemical resistance, you get resistance to acid and poison damage and immunity to poison condition, and you can cast Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron without expending a spell slot, without preparing the spell and without material components. You can do that once per long rest. Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron is a banger spell. It's a perfect fit for the class. I like that overall. It used to be that you had resistance to acid and poison damage in the immune condition, poisoned condition, so that was the same as it was. But you used to be able to cast Greater Restoration or Heal without expending a spell slot. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. I don't know why they nerfed the level 9 feature. The 2d6 temp health wasn't breaking anything. Trying not to lose my mind. Overall, the subclass is a lot better, which is good. I think it would be... I don't know why they keep taking stuff out, man. Armorer is Tools of the Trade. You get proficiency with heavy armor. You gain proficiency with Smith's Tools. You can also change that to a different one if you already have proficiency with Smith's Tools. Look at this artwork. And when you craft magical or non-magical armor, the amount of time to craft it is halved. So it's fine. I don't know why they moved it to subclasses. This used to be you gain proficiency with heavy armor and Smith's Tools And that's it. So you didn't get the crafting thing, but they already had a crafting thing, so kind of the same. Your spells are Magic Missile, Thunder Wave, Mirror Image, Shatter, Hypnotic Pattern, Lightning Bolt, Fire Shield, Greater Invisibility, Pass Wall, and Wall of Force. They used to be the same, so that hasn't changed. Arcane Armor. As a magic action, when you have Smith's tools in hand, you can turn a suit of armor you're wearing into Arcane Armor. The armor continues to be Arcane Armor until you don another suit of armor or you die. You gain the following benefits while wearing your Arcane Armor. If the armor normally has a strength requirement, it doesn't. You can don or doff the armor as a utilized action, and it can't be removed against your will, and you can have your armor as a spellcasting focus for your Artificer spells. I believe that's exactly the same. Strength, Artificer spells, it's cool. It no longer attaches to expand to cover your entire body, apparently. It also used to replace any missing limbs. Did they need to take that bit out? That's such a cool bit of flavour. Why are they like this? Armor model. You can customize your arcane armor. This is all at level 3. There's a lot of level 3 stuff. When you do so, choose one of the following armor models. You get a new armor model now. It used to be Guardian or Infiltrator. Now we also get the Dreadnought, which is cool. Each model includes a special weapon. When you attack with that weapon, you can add your intelligence modifier instead of your strength or dex modifier to the attack or damage rolls. You can. You don't have to. So you could build a strength-based Artificer if you wanted to. You can change the armor model whenever you finish a short or long rest if you have Smith's tools in hand. Is that how that used to be as well? Yes. So we got a whole new thing, right? So the Dreadnought, you design your armor to become a towering juggernaut in battle. It has the following features. Force Demolisher. An arcane wrecking ball or sledgehammer projects from your armor. The Demolisher counts as a simple melee weapon with a reach property, and it deals 1d10 force damage on a hit. If you hit a creature that is at least one size smaller than you with the Demolisher, you can push or pull it 10 feet away or towards you. That is sick. Also, it gets so cool. Sorry, I think this is tied for my favourite Artificer subclass, mostly because of the Dreadnought. As a bonus action, you can transform and enlarge your armor for 1 minute. For the duration, your reach increases by 5 feet, and if you are smaller than large, you become large, along with anything you are wearing. If there isn't enough room for you to increase your size doesn't change. You can do this bonus action a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. You regain all expended uses on a long rest. Because your reach increases, this obviously makes the Force Demolisher even better. So you've got 15 feet of reach, which is cool. It's just good. This is brand new. Yay! If I had a third thumb, I'd put it up. I don't. And you don't want to see my feet. I got socks on. Anyway, it's cold. We also get Guardian, which is the, Guardian one. What do you want me to say here, people? Thunder Pulse. You can discharge concussive blasts with strikes from your armor. The pulse counts as a simple melee weapon and deals 1d8 thunder damage on hit. Creature hit by the pulse has disadvantage on attack rolls against any target other than you until the start of your next turn. And while bloodied, you can take a bonus action to gain temp health equal to your Artificer level. You lose these temporary hit points if you doff the armor. You can do this as many times as you want, as long as you are bloody. That's really strong. It's really strong, especially if you spec into con. It used to be, let's see, as a bonus action you can gain temp health, blah blah blah. It used to be that you could only use it a number of times equal to proficiency bonus. Now you can just do it all the time, so that's just better. It also used to be the Thunder Gauntlets were the same, so that's fine. And then Infiltrator, this is the sneaky armor. You get a lightning launcher. A gem-like node appears in your armor from which you can shoot bolts of lightning. The launcher counts as a simple ranged weapon with a normal range of 90 feet and a long range of 300 feet, which is so much. It deals 1d6 lightning damage on a hit. Once on each of your turns when you hit a creature with the launcher, you can deal an extra 1d6 lightning damage to the target. It improves your speed by 5 feet, and it gives you advantage on dex saves, on dex checks for stealth. If you had disadvantage because of the armor, then it cancels out. That used to be 90 feet, 300 feet, 1d6. That has not changed at all. Level 5, you get extra attack. Cool. You got special attacks. It makes perfect sense. Level 9, you get improved armor. You learn an additional plan for your replicate magic item feature, and it must be in the armor category. If you replace that plan, you must replace it with another armor plan. In addition, you create an additional item with the feature, which must be in the armor category. This is really cool. Big fan. You also gain a +1 to attack and damage rolls made with a special weapon of your arcane armor model, which is also very cool. What did level 9 used to be? You learn how to blah blah blah. The armor now counts as separate items for the purpose of your infused item. So you could infuse each individual piece to get more bonuses, basically. You could also infuse 2 extra items, but they had to be part of your arcane armor. So you could already upgrade your armor as is because of the infusions, right? You could do that anyway. But is this better? I think it's just different. I feel like it's just different. I like that you just get a +1 to your bonus, your attack and damage rolls. You're not eating up an infusion to do that. You could view that as just taking an infusion, in which case this is more or less the same. The difference is you can't buff every aspect of your armor to high heaven, or heavens if you're in one of the Forgotten Realms, which is arguably a nerf, but equally it means that it kind of incentivizes you to use other items as well, and then gives some out, which isn't a bad thing. So I think I like the changes. If you've played Armorer, let me know how you feel about that, because this is a hard one for me to consider all the possibilities of while recording. Level 15, you get Perfected Armor. You get a big change to each of the armor types, which I'm assuming was the same. Yeah, we'll look at the specifics. Dreadnought, the damage die for your Force Demolisher increases to 2d6 force damage. In addition, when you use your giant stature, your reach increases by 10 feet. Your size can increase to huge, and you have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. So it was 1d10, right? So 1d10 average damage is 5.5. 2d6 average damage is 7, because it's 3.5 times 2. That's how the dice work. This isn't an especially exciting thing to happen at level 15. Arguably, you've got your +1, so that's something, and your intelligence is higher, so that's also something, but it's going to struggle to keep up with other things unless you've also got stuff that just generally boosts your weapons, which you can do, obviously. Easy enough, but mixed. Guardian, the damage die increases to 1d10. It was 1d8. That is a 1 point damage increase. Just to add an extra dice. Seriously, just make it 2d10. Just make it 2d8. Just, it doesn't, I just speed read the Infiltrator, and that's what they've done for the Infiltrator. All right, let's finish the Guardian, sorry. In addition, when a huge or small creature you can see ends its turn within 30 feet of you, you can take a reaction to magically force that creature to make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you pull the creature towards you. If it ends that movement within 5 feet of you, you can attack it. That's cool. Is that what it used to be? Yeah. Okay, so the damage boost didn't used to be there at all. So that's an improvement, but the feature did. And then Infiltrator, the damage increases to 2d6, which is better than all of the other improvements, because you're doubling it. That's how mathematics work. Yes, the damage was lower to begin with. Doesn't matter. You're doubling it. Come on, man. Any creature takes a hit from your lightning launcher glimmers until your next turn. It has disadvantage on attack rolls against you as the light jolts it if it attacks you. So that's nice. And it used to do that, except the next attack roll against it also had advantage, which it no longer does. So that's arguably damage up, feature down, but you do get the ability to gain a fly speed equal to twice your speed until the end of the current turn. You get that as a bonus action a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier per long rest. So it's better, undoubtedly. The flavor is so good. The new armor type is great. I don't understand the logic behind the way that they buff the damage here at all. I don't understand it at all. So a fighter's hitting with a greatsword, right? But greatswords you can get a flame tongue, which is 46. You can get an eternal slayer greatsword, which is also 46, I believe. I think it might be 5d6, but it's got a bigger bonus to it. As a person who has mastered the art of magical armor, you're doing as much damage as a greatsword. You can only attack twice and you don't get action surge. The size increase is nice, but that doesn't have a huge mechanical benefit, really. I just don't know why it's not 2d10. I don't understand. So let's just move on, shall we, to the Artillerist. You gain proficiency with martial ranged weapons. You gain proficiency with woodcarver's tools. You can replace that otherwise. You can craft a magic wand at half the time required, and you get spells. Did you not get proficiency with ranged weapons? You didn't used to get proficiency with ranged weapons, it seems. So that's just better. That's nutty. That's wild. Okay, cool. Well, that's just an upgrade. We love just an upgrade. That's my favorite thing to have. You get your spells: Shield, Thunderwave, Scorching Ray, Shatter, Fireball, Wind Wall, Ice Storm, Wall of Fire, Cone of Cold, Wall of Force. I think this is arguably one of the strongest subclass spell lists. You get Shield, which is fantastic forever. And then you just get a bunch of really interesting and fairly strong damaging spells, really. Apart from Wind Wall and Wall of Force. And Wall of Force is obviously a banger. So Shield, Thunderwave, Scorching Ray, Shatter, Fireball, Wind Wall, which is the same as it used to be, but it's still a really good spell list. So good work. You also get your Eldritch Cannon. You can take a magic action to create a small or tiny Eldritch Cannon in an unoccupied space on a horizontal surface within 5 feet of yourself. It's going to be your shoulder. That's the dream, right? The cannon's gaming statistics appear below. You can determine its appearance, whether or not you carry it, the choice of legs or wheels for the latter. It disappears if it's reduced to 0 hit points or after 1 hour. You can also dismiss it early as a magic action. You can only do this once per long rest or expend a spell slot to create one. You only have one cannon at a time and can't create one where you already have one. It used to be blah, 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 the same. Interestingly, the feature used to describe the in-game stats instead of it just having a little... So this is the stat block, basically. Has the HP changed 5 times from Artificer level? Yeah, it's exactly the same. 2d6. Interesting. So it has an AC of 18. It has hit points equal to 5 times your Artificer level. You can cast Mending on it to make it restore 2 hit points. It has immunities to poison and psychic damage, which it didn't... No, it did used to have. Fascinating. They've just fixed the layout. That's not a bad thing. We then have the modes that you have. You have to be within 60 feet of the cannon to activate it. As a bonus action, you can order the cannon to use the flamethrower, force ballista, or protector option below. You don't have to pick which one it is. Bonus action, blah, blah. Okay, so that's a buff. So you're just creating an Eldritch cannon now. It used to be that you had to pick which Eldritch cannon you were creating. Now you have all 3 of these as options all the time, which is fantastic. So the flamethrower is a 15-foot cone, deck save, or they take 2d8 on a failed save, half as much, and stuff starts burning. Flamethrower used to be the same. Nothing has changed there. That's fine. Force Ballista is 2d8 damage within 120 feet of it and is pushed away. Force Ballista used to be 120 feet, 2d8, pushed away. And then we have a Protector. Creature within 10 feet of it gets temp health equal to 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier. Oh, it grants itself and each creature of your choice. That's pretty solid, but that's also exactly the same as it was. Level 5, you get Arcane Firearm. When you finish a long rest, you can use Woodcarver's tools to carve special sigils into a rod, staff, wand, or martial ranged weapon, turning it into an Arcane Firearm. You can use your Arcane Firearm as a spellcasting focus for your Artificer spells. When you cast an Artificer spell through the firearm, roll 1d8. You get a bonus to the damage dealt. This is the same. Okay. Level 9, you get Explosive Cannon. You get 2 upgrades. When your cannon takes damage, you can take a reaction to command the cannon to detonate. If you are within 60 feet of you, doing so destroys the cannon and forces each creature within 20 feet of it to make a dex save or take 3d10 damage. The cannon's damage rolls and temp health are all increased by 1d8. That's just good stuff. It used to be that the same thing. It's gone from being 3d8 to 3d10, which is 3 extra damage because of average rolls. Fortified Position. You're a master at being covered in guns. You can make 2 cannons at the same time and create 2 with the same magic action. If you expend a spell slot to create the first cannon, you must expend another spell slot to create the second. You can activate both of them with the same bonus action, having them be different ones if you want. You and your allies have half cover while within 10 feet of your Eldritch cannons. You and your allies have half cover. You can make 2 of them. You can activate both of them. You can determine which ones they are. So this has been upgraded by nature of the fact that you can change which version you're firing every time, but hasn't changed otherwise, really. So the Artillerist is better, but not by a huge amount. It's mostly that it's more flexible because you can choose which version of the cannon you're using each time, which is good. I don't hate it. Martial ranged weapons is good because you only used to be able to use simple ranged weapons then, based on the way that works. Battlesmith. Why is his name Smith? I love this dude, and I love his old steel doggo. I'm here for it. You gain proficiency with Smith's tools. If you already had this proficiency, you gain proficiency with one other type of artisan's tools of your choice. When you craft a magical or non-magical weapon, it's halved time-wise. So yeah, they just folded that stuff in to make the subclasses feel more interesting, maybe, or more specialized. I don't really know. Yeah, I have thoughts. I'll share them in a second. Battlesmith spells: Heroism, Shield, Shining Smite, Warding Bond, Aura of Vitality, Conjure Barrage, Aura of Purity, Fire Shield, Banishing Smite, Mass Cure Wounds. It used to be proficiency with Smith's tools. That was it. And then spells: Heroism, Shield, Branding Smite instead of Shining Smite, Warding Bond, Aura of Vitality, Conjure Barrage, Aura of Purity, Fire Shield. Banishing, yeah, it's the same spell list. You also get Battle Ready. Your combat training and your experience with magic have paid off in 2 ways. When you attack with a magic weapon, you can use your intelligence modifier instead of your strength, or dexterity modifier for the attack rolls and damage rolls, making this an essential multi-class if you want to play the Scion of the 3 Rogue, because you need a high intelligence for that, and also you want to be able to attack you through intelligence. So that's fun. It's a build I'm thinking about making. You also get proficiency with martial weapons. You can use a weapon with which you have proficiency as a spellcasting focus for your Artificer spells. You do not get weapon masteries for some reason. Why don't you get weapon mastery? It used to be proficiency, same. Hasn't changed. Steel Defender. Defender is friendly to you. You command it with a bonus action. If it dies, you can take a magic action to resurrect it. When you finish a long rest, you can make a new one. So, AC, that's the same, I'm assuming. Interesting. So, it used to state that you could use Mending on it to heal it. It does not seem as though you can do that anymore. Why? Alright, well, we push on. So AC is 12 plus your intelligence modifier. It used to be 15. That is an upgrade. HP is 5 plus 5 times your Artificer level. It used to be 2 plus your intelligence modifier plus 5 times your Artificer level. Which means that this is... So it's harder to hit most of the time, marginally, but has slightly less health, generally. Still 40 feet. I'm just looking at the stats. 14, 12, 14, 4, 10, 6. 14, 12, 14, 4, 10, 6. Same stats. Immunity, poison, charmed, exhaustion, and poisoned. Dark vision of 60 feet. Passive perception of 10. Understanding of the languages. You add your proficiency bonus to any ability check or saving throw the defender makes. It deals 1d8 plus 2 plus your intelligence modifier. It can also repair it or itself, 2d8 plus your int mod. And it has the disadvantage thing as well. It used to do 1d8 plus P proficiency bonus force damage. Okay, is that worse technically? 1d8 plus 2 plus your... Okay, so it's better just. Repair is 2d8 plus PB, 2d8 plus your int mod. I guess that's better because you can get it up sooner, I guess is the logic there. The reaction is the same. So it's more or less the same. It's ever so slightly better. Maybe I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing something. Extra attack. You get extra attack. You can replace one of your attacks with a steel defender attack, which is good to know. I don't know why you'd do that, generally speaking. If you've got a great sword, you're not going to want to swap that out for a 1d8 plus 2 plus your int mod, right? Level 9, you get Arcane Jolt. When either you hit a target with an attack roll using a magic weapon or your steel defender hits a target, you can channel magical energy through the strike to create one of the following effects. The target takes 2d6 force damage. That's always the case, which is nice. It's not always the case. I've just finished reading the feature. Look. Stop it. You choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of the target. You get to heal them by 2d6. You can do this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, but you cannot do so more than once per turn. You regain all uses on a long rest. It used to be 2d6 force damage, healing by 2d6, exactly the same. It used to be exactly the same. Improved to Defender at level 15. Your Arcane Jolt and Steel Defender have become more powerful, granting these benefits. The damage, both healing and harm, for your Jolt goes up to 46. Whenever your Steel Defender uses its Deflect attack, the attacker takes force damage equal to 1d4 plus your int mod. Really? 1d4 plus your intelligence modifier at level 15. Oh, okay. I think the Battlesmith might be worse. It used to be 46, cool, a plus 2 to the AC, and when your Steel Defender uses its Deflect attack, it's 1d4 plus your int mod. Right, so it used to have 15 AC, so 17 AC in total, right? Once you got the plus 2. Your int mod, theoretically, can only go up to 17 anyway. So that's just the same. Okay. Battlesmith is grossly underwhelming in terms of the changes there. I think that's literally all I have to say on it. It's not really been changed. It's worse. I think they made the Battlesmith worse. Please let me know if I'm missing something obvious or unobvious here. I feel as though this might be worse, actually, which is a choice. All right. Well, let's cover the new one. Cartographer. This is a cool subclass. So the Cartographer is the brand new subclass for the Artificer. It's all about maps, which is cool. It also means I don't have to compare it to anything. So you don't have to deal with me switching back and forth with my ADHD-fueled chaos. So you get to proficiency with Calligrapher's tools and supplies. You can replace those if you already have them. When you scribe a spell scroll, you can use half the amount of time, arguably the best one of those. You also get different spells. You get Fairy Fire, Guiding Bolt, Healing Word, Locate Object, Mind Spike, Cool Lightning, Clairvoyance, Banishment, Locate Creature, Scrying, and Teleportation Circle. That is a fascinating spell list. I really like that. It's not all overtly powerful. It is all very interesting, and that's, great. Now, Adventurous Atlas at level 3 also, when you finish a long rest holding Cartographer's tools, you can use a tool to create a set of magical maps by touching at least 2 creatures, one of whom can be yourself, up to a maximum number of creatures equal to 1 plus your intelligence modifier. So for most people, you're going to start with a 17 in intelligence, right? If you're doing point buy, so that's going to be 4, which is going to cover your party most of the time straight away. Each target receives a magical map, which constantly updates to show you the relative position of all the map holders, but is illegible to all others. The map lasts until you die, or when you use this feature again, at which point any existing maps feature immediately vanish. When carrying the map, the target gains the following benefits. The target can add a 1d4 to its initiative rolls, and it knows the precise location. It knows the location of all map holders as long as they're on the same plane of existence. Also, when casting a spell or creating another effect that requires being able to see the effect target, a map holder can target another map holder regardless of sight or cover as long as they're within effect's range, which means you can cast Healing Word through several rooms as long as they're within range, and that is just cool. I love it. Mapping Magic, also at level 3, you get Fairy Fire, which you can cast without a spell slot, outlining the affected creatures as if in ink. That's cool. You can do this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier and regain all uses on a long rest. Also, on your turn, you can spend half your speed, rounded down, to teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 10 feet of yourself, or within 5 feet of a creature that is within 30 feet of you and holding one of your maps. You can't do this if your speed is 0. So basically, I think this is really poorly worded. The ideal use case for this is you have a friend who's 30 feet away, you teleport 30 feet to them, and then you still have half your movement. Cool. That's good stuff. And that's just all the time. Infinite Misty Step, basically, as long as you're all placed well. Level 5, you get Guide of Precision. If you cast a spell from your Cartographer spell lists that hits a creature affected by your Fairy Fire with an attack roll, being pushed into Fairy Fire here, you can add your intelligence modifier to 1 damage roll of the spell or attack. In addition, you can't lose concentration on Fairy Fire. I don't adore this for the same reasons I don't adore the Hunter's Mark thing. It's a really cool feature, but Fairy Fire taking concentration when you're being a half-caster is less than ideal. So, yeah. It also doesn't let you just target friends within a 20-foot cube, which would be nice. But, yeah. And it's an action to cast. So, yeah. Level 9, you get Ingenious Movement. When you use a Flash of Genius, you or a willing creature of your choice you can see within 30 feet of yourself can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see as part of the same reaction. That's good stuff, especially because they're letting you have Flash of Genius more, so that's good. And then Superior Atlas, your map improves. When a map holder would be reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, that creature can destroy its map. The creature's hit points instead change to a number equal to twice your Artificer level, and the creature is teleported to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of you. This does not have a range limit. This means that you can have a squishy wizard with Meteor Swarm walk into an enemy encampment, cast it on themselves, ending themselves or taking themselves to 0 hit points. They break their map and they're back next to you. That's funny. You also get Unerring Path. If you are one of the map holders, you can cast Find the Path without expending a spell slot. That's cool. Once per long rest. It's realistically, this is a ribbon feature, but it's a good ribbon feature, so I'm here for it. And then you also get Spell, which is funny. It's funny to me. Homunculus Servant. You can summon a homunculus in an occupied space within range. It uses the stat block. It's an ally to you in combat. It obeys commands without you needing to give any commands, basically. AC of 13, HP 5 plus 5 per spell level. This is a ritual spell, so you can cast it at level 2 for free, which means it's going to have 15 health, which is not bad. It has evasion for some reason. It had magic bond, so that's also good. It's really good at surviving spells. It has both a melee and ranged attack, which is 1d6 plus the spell's level and force damage, which is not bad. And you can cast a spell that has a range of touch through the homunculus as long as it's within 120 feet of you, basically, which is nice. Yeah, that's a good spell. The Cartographer I really like the Cartographer a lot. I don't love the level 5 feature. I like that you're doing something with the Fairy Fire. Forcing a concentration spell on a spellcaster or half-caster, as we have seen with Hunter's Mark, makes playing it feel like you have a correct way to play it and an incorrect way to play it, and I don't adore that. I don't mind it as much here because it's in a subclass versus the Ranger, where it's your class and it's your Capstone feature. But yes, I really like this subclass a lot. I like all of those, but there are some baffling changes to bits and bobs. The removal of temp health from the Alchemist, the nerf buff thing they've done with the Battlesmith's Defender. I also don't love that the Battlesmith is the one that gets proficiency with all weapons. Again, there's no weapon masteries there, which is a shame. And also, for some reason, you've got the pet subclass combined with the master subclass. It's a very strange choice, in my opinion, because you do need to use your bonus action to command the Steel Defender to attack. So it's a really odd one. I think, technically speaking, the Artificer is now better, which is good. I don't know that it is enough better, realistically, to compete with the power level of the majority of the classes, and I think that's a shame. I hope that we get more subclass. I would love to see I'm going to switch to face. I would love to see the SRD, because I have no doubts in my mind that third-party creators like... not third-party creators, third-party publishers like Ghostfire Games or Loot Tavern, for example, would have a blast having access to this class and making subclasses for it. But that is that for this video. Let me know what you think about the class and the subclasses and how you feel about it. I'm happy it's better, but a little underwhelmed. It's a real mixed overall. There are buffs, there are also nerfs, and they were not needed, I don't personally think. Let me know what you think. But that's it for today. I hope you're doing all right. I hope you take care. And until next time, goodbye.